Welcome everyone back to the channel. In this video I'm going to bring you a 1-month review of the Nikon Z6. First thing I want to say is sorry for the video and audio quality. I have to shoot this on an iPhone because I generally use this for my videos. So kind of bear with me there, but I will give you what it's like to own the Nikon Z6 for a month, coming from someone who is just using this casually for, we have a newborn that was just born and we wanted something to take photos on. We previously had a DSLR in the past, Nikon D800, and so I wanted to stay in the Nikon realm, but I wanted something smaller, so that led to the purchase of the Nikon Z6. Not going to compare it a whole lot against some of the other options, but we'll talk about that briefly. But the first thing you'll notice is that the Z6, it's very Nikon-like in that all the menus are very similar to what their DSLRs are. So if you're already a Nikon shooter and you're looking for a full-frame mirrorless camera, you will fit right at home in this. The menus, the colors, they're all very Nikon like, so you don't have to worry about there's no learning curve there if you're already shooting with a Nikon camera. So the first thing I noticed picking this up is how light and compact it is, especially compared to the Nikon D800. I've also used a Canon 5D Mark III, and this feels like it's half the size, even though weight-wise it's not that much lighter, but it's just overall a much smaller package, easier to carry around, especially if you're traveling, or we have a newborn, which is really originally why I purchased this. So chasing him around and getting photos and video is very easy to do just because of how light it is. So that's the first thing I noticed. The second thing is how well the buttons are laid out. Ergonomically, it is, I think, better than this Sony a7 III and the Canon EOS R. All the buttons are just in the right spot. I wish it had a tilt out screen. It only just kind of moves up and down at an angle, but other than that, the ergonomics I feel like are much better. I rented both the Sony a7 III and the Canon EOS R, and the a7 III just didn't fit right in the hand. It was just too small, and the EOS R, I'll kind of get to the reason why I didn't go along that line, but that's the first thing I noticed is just how well this feels in the hand and the ergonomics about it. It's also extremely well built. You can tell that. The only negative with the build quality, and this is a Nikon thing, most of their cameras have this problem, is that you have to be kind of careful with the rubber. The rubberized grip here, you can see, maybe if I can get it on the video there, where I kind of nicked that and kind of caused some of the rubber to come up a little bit. Again, that's a very Nikon thing. The D800 had a huge issue with that, but other than that, this thing should be able to withstand just about anything. I've taken it out, not in the rain, but it's been outside a majority of its time since it's nice out right now, and I have strong feelings that this will last a long time. The second reason, or another reason why this is a good option, is I actually paid about $1,100 for this. I bought it used through Lens Authority when they were having a sale on it. Retails for about $1,800-$1,900, depending on how you bundle it with what kind of accessories. But $1,100 for a full-frame, modern, mirrorless camera is a steal. It still had about 4 months left in the warranty because it's a newer release camera and it's a USA model, so you can get it fixed down the line. So if you can get one of these used, I would highly recommend that. And that gets to the other reason why I think this is a good purchase and why I purchased it, is that you can actually afford the lens. I really liked the Canon EOS R. I like Canon colors. It's about the same as Nikon. They're very different in how they approach things, but the Canon lenses you just can't really afford. There's a 35mm 1.8 macro IS lens, and everything else is like $2,000. If you want the Canon 50mm 1.2, they're just so expensive. And the Nikon lenses, I don't think you need anything lower than 1.8. Almost all their lenses are 1.8, at least their prime lenses, and it gets plenty of detail. The lenses are sharp, they're relatively cheap. They're almost all under $1,000 for their primes. I think the 20mm may be a little over, but they're all reasonably affordable. They're well built. Yes, they're made in China, not Japan like the Canon ones, but if they're well built, I feel like that they're just perfect for someone who doesn't want to fork over a ton of money for their lenses and they want something that still produces that good quality. Another thing is it's got image stabilization, so if you're doing type of videos, I feel like doing a 50-50 split between video and photo, I think this is a good option. The Sony a7 III does have in-body image stabilization, but I just didn't like the way it felt in the hand, so that's why I preferred this, because it just feels so right in the hand, so much better than those. But that's really it. It does great for video work and photos. Photos are, again, all full frame cameras are going to take good photos on them, but the video side is very easy to get into. Once you get the white balance and all your settings set, you got a little button here where you go from video to audio or photo, that you just flip that. It keeps all your settings in place, and it's real easy to kind of do run and gun stuff if you're doing photo and video work. That's really it, guys. Overall, you can charge it through USB-C. It has great battery life. I have not had any issues with the battery life on it, even shooting video. I do not shoot my video in 4K, so that's something to keep in mind. I do everything in 1080p because I just think 4K is overkill. And again, I'm not a pro. I'm just doing this for fun on the side. The only negative I found about this is the card reader. It only has one, which is a more reliable card, which is the XQD, but they are really expensive. And no computers have these. They're not SD cards where you can just throw it into, like my laptop has a SD card reader, so I can just throw it in there. But you gotta have a dongle for that because it is an XQD card, and they're still fairly expensive. And there's only a few companies that make them. I know SanDisk and other companies are getting out there and making a little bit more, but that's it. I haven't had any issues with autofocus. Again, the D800 wasn't the best at autofocus, so this is miles ahead from that. Good face detection, good eye detection. It doesn't pick up my newborn's eye all that well, maybe because his eyes aren't open all that much, or they're not open wide enough, but everything else works great. It works great with our cat, picking up its eye with the animal eye detect, so I haven't had any issues there. So after a month of this, I would highly recommend you look into this if you're looking for full frame, affordable mirrorless camera, especially if you can find one to use. Just make sure it's a USA model so you can still get it serviced. And that's it, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. I'm going to get a long-term review of this down the road once I get a little bit more time with it. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.